Right now, imagine yourself with an extra $1 million in your bank account. But before you imagine that, I want you to take 2 deep breaths. One more. All right, now, in your imagination, open your banking app in your phone and look at that extra $1 million in your account, $1.2 million. Now, imagine the first thing that you're going to buy with that extra $1 million. Think big. Get it in your mind. You got it? All right, let's get started. Today, I'm gonna teach you how to create your own money tree. But before I get to that, I wanna give you some bars real quick. It's a poem. I at last have reached my goal, and I've solved the mystery of my soul. I am that to which I prayed, that to which I looked for aid. I am that which I did seek. I am my own mountain peak. When I want, I do but see my wishes coming forth from me, for I'm the knower and the known, the ruler, the subject, and the throne. The 3-in-1 is what I am, but hell itself, it's just my dam, which I did put in my own stream. In a nightmare that I did dream, that I was not the only one, and thus by me my pain begun, which ran its course till I awoke. And I found with me that I did joke. So now I stand here wide awake. I my throne do wisely take, and rule my kingdom, which is me, a master through eternity. Those are some bars for you. So today, there are 3 steps of being able to create your own money tree. Mama used to always tell you that money doesn't grow on trees. Well, unfortunately, Mama was wrong. And because she used to tell you that, you used to believe that, but I'm gonna teach you today how to make money grow on trees. Step number 1. I already did number 1, believe it or not. See, when I told you to get in your imagination that extra $1 million, when I told you to use your mind to see something, the first step of creating a money tree is understanding how to use your mind and your imagination. Okay, so let's go through this. So we're gonna go through some science here. I'm gonna get to the whiteboard and, I'm gonna teach you how to make some money today. So in order to create your own money tree, you have to understand psychologically how you work, and you also have to understand physiologically how you work. So when I had you go into your imagination, what I was doing was actually programming your subconscious mind. I'll say that again. So when I had you go into your imagination, what I was doing is I was actually programming your subconscious mind, because this is what companies all around the world bring me in to do. I am the world's #1 subconscious programmer, especially for success and elite achievement. So let me get my pen today. So you have to understand, you live on 3 simultaneous planes of existence. Please understand this. So you have the mental plane of existence. You live in the spiritual plane of existence, and you also live in the material. So you live in 3 simultaneous planes of existence. You are the only being that has ever been created that can live in 3 simultaneous planes of existence: the spiritual, the mental, and the material. This is so important to understand. So when we talk about understanding how to program your subconscious mind, well, we have to really realize that you live in mental, spiritual, material. Now, you also have other aspects of your own individual consciousness. Let me get another color. So your own individual consciousness, you have both a conscious mind. That's the first thing. And then you also have a subconscious mind, subconscious. So when I had you go into your imagination, what I'm actually trying to do is access your subconscious mind. Now, there are some mechanisms to do this. Again, I tell you, the people all around the world bring me in to program their subconscious minds because I know how to do this stuff. I've been doing it when I was in the NFL. I learned this from Hall of Famers. I learned this from business owners. I've learned this from scientists, and I've compiled it all for you so that you can have it. People pay me a lot of money to do this. You get it for free on YouTube. Hey, lucky you. So anyway, but let's talk about something else. So we have the mental, the spiritual, and the material, and then you have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now listen to this. Believe it or not, your conscious mind is responsible for about 5% of what happens in your life. But that 5% is very important because that 5% conditions what happens in the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is responsible for 95 95% of what happens in your life. So therefore, what's the most important? The conscious mind and the subconscious mind? Well, it just depends. So I want you to look at the subconscious mind and the conscious mind like this, all right? So I want you to think of yourself as, I'm gonna draw a little airplane. I think that's an airplane. All right, that's an airplane. Today it is. All right, so back here by the wings and all that, there's the engine, there's the tails, there's the wings. So everything responsible for this airplane to fly is actually back here. It's this from here on. Well, that's looking bad, but you get the picture. All right, so this is the subconscious mind. Subconscious, okay? Now, this is 95%, so all the energy of the airplane resides in the subconscious mind. Here's the conscious mind. Without this cockpit, where the pilot is, where the controls are, this 95% is not going anywhere. And this is the same thing that happens in your life. You have to understand that if you don't understand how to program your subconscious mind by the use of your conscious mind, then you're not going to go anywhere in life. That plane is never going to fly. And this is what happens with a lot of you, especially when it comes to creating your own money tree, which I'm going to show you how to do in a second. Just hold on. Just, you'll get it. Just in a second. So there, I told you live in a mental, spiritual, material. You have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. But also, we have to understand your physiological nature. You can see me. Your physiological nature. You have the prefrontal cortex. So this is for your brain. This is your physiology. You have the prefrontal cortex. You have the basal ganglia. And then you have your, I'm not going to write it all out, but you have the reticular activation system, the reticular activating system. Now this right here is located in your brainstem. Okay. So all these things are very, very important because they all actually align with each other. So listen to this. Remember I told you have the conscious mind? Well, guess what part of your brain controls your conscious mind, and that is the decision-making mind? Well, your prefrontal cortex actually controls or is controlled by your conscious mind. So me making the decision to pick this pen up right here, that is me using my prefrontal cortex, which is also using my conscious mind to make the decision to pick this pen up or this marker up right here. Your basal ganglia is actually representative of your subconscious mind. So the basal ganglia is what makes things automatic. So it's just like this. Anybody ever play any instruments or play a sport? So when you first, let's say it's a piano, when you first get a sheet of music and a piece of music on a piano, you have to use a lot of your conscious or your prefrontal cortex to play the piece because you haven't learned it yet. But once you play it enough times, what happens is it goes from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind, or it goes from the prefrontal cortex to the basal ganglia, and it becomes automatic. And so after a while, you don't even need the music. You can just play the piece because it's already in the basal ganglia. It's in the subconscious mind, and that's what we're trying to get to. But there's another thing called the reticular activation system. So what that is you ever see, let's say you get a new pair of Jordans, and you're like, man, these Jordans first came out. I've never seen anybody with them. And as soon as you get them, what happens? You go to the mall and you see 5 people with those same Jordans. Why is that? Well, they already had them before, but your reticular activation system, what it does is it filters out unnecessary information and also filters in necessary information. So when you got those shoes, your reticular activation system started seeing, oh, he's got those shoes. I see those shoes. Now I'm gonna see those shoes. That's exactly what happens. So here's what I did to program your subconscious mind that you really don't know. When I had you, take those deep breaths, and imagine yourself with that $1 million, but more importantly, imagine yourself buying the thing with that $1 million. What I did was I activated your reticular activation system so that therefore your mind will start figuring out ways to be able to create your money tree. And that's how this thing works. But we got to talk about, again, how the physiological nature of you works, because look, my job for you is I don't care about anything else. The only thing I want you to do is live the life of your dreams easier than you could ever imagine. That's it. By the programming of your subconscious mind. I want you to get this and get this good. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to realize that in life, you do not get what you want. You get what your subconscious mind is programmed for. If your subconscious mind is programmed for riches, you'll be rich. If your subconscious mind is programmed for poverty, no matter what, you'll be poor. It's just like we see people who win the lottery and then lose it within a year. Why? Their subconscious mind, the 95%, has been programmed for poverty. So what I did is I tried to program your subconscious mind, but there's a way to do it. And it had something to do with taking that deep breath. All right, so I got to tell you about brainwave patterns, because brainwave patterns are really, really important. And again, you have to know how your mind works, because again, all I want you to do is be able to program your subconscious mind to become rich and successful. Now, what's the purpose? Why do I want you to become so rich and successful? Well, I'll be honest with you. It's very altruistic. Yeah, I want everybody to be rich and successful, of course. But also, see, the more I can get you to make, the more I can get from you. See, I have a coaching and all that, and like I said, companies all around the world bring me in to program subconscious minds, and I would love to program your subconscious mind too. But I ain't cheap, and I'll never be such, because my subconscious mind is not programmed for cheapness. So therefore, the more money that I can get you, the more opportunities I have to coach you and get some from you. Does that make sense? Cool. So when we talk about programming this wonderful subconscious mind, we gotta understand again how the brain works. So the brain works in frequencies or in hertz. So you have 4, maybe 5 main brainwave patterns. First brainwave pattern you have is delta. And delta is akin to deep sleep. Deep sleep. Remember that. So these are the slowest brainwave patterns. The second one is theta. Theta. The third one is beta. I'm missing one. It's not beta. The third one is alpha. And the last one is, fourth one is beta. And then the last one is gamma. All right, is gamma. Now, one of these is a door to the subconscious mind. One of these brainwave patterns. And I'm gonna tell you which one it is. The one that we're after is theta. Theta is the door to the subconscious. So a lot of the ancient mystics, they say that the theta brainwave pattern is the door that seeps into the subconscious mind. So there are a couple ways, 2 main primary ways that you can access theta brainwaves. Number 1 is as soon as you wake up in the morning, you naturally come into theta brainwaves. You go from delta to theta as soon as you wake up in the morning. So when I talk about using visualizations and things like that, I say one of the most important times is as soon as you wake up, because naturally you're in theta. It's that time where you're kind of awake, you're kind of asleep, you're drowsy, you're just getting up. That's theta. Another time you're in theta is right before you go to sleep. The last thing you do before you go to sleep. You ever have those times where you feel like you're awake or you're asleep? You kind of don't know you're in that in-between phase. That is the door to the subconscious mind. That is theta. But there's one more time where you can put yourself in theta. And that is through focused breathing. And I'll put in parentheses, meditation. So, why do you think I made you take those 2 deep breaths earlier? Well, it was because I want to get you into theta brainwave patterns as much as possible. Now, it does take practice with this one. With meditation, focused breathing, it takes practice to be able to do that. So what most adults are in beta brainwaves, and that's what I'm in right now. I'm kind of in alpha beta. So alpha is like when you're in the zone. Have you ever seen an athlete, a basketball player, and they're in the zone, and to them the goal, like the goal looks like 10 feet wide, and it seems like everything they shoot goes in? Well, that's there in alpha. And alpha is like focused flow. Most adults are in beta all the time. Beta is just when you're just constantly just making decisions like at the moment. You're not really in flow. You're just like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that. All right, that's beta. And then gamma is a very, very, very high level of consciousness. We won't talk about how to get into that right now, but that's a certain thing. All right, so we gotta understand how you program the subconscious mind to make your money true. So that's the first step of creating your money tree. Make sure you got that. And look, make sure you're taking notes and leave them in the description, because there's things that I'm saying right now that I can't really, I'm in flow, so I can't really see what I'm saying. So therefore, do me a favor, man, take some notes and put them in the descriptions. Okay, so that's the first step of creating your money tree, is to get your subconscious mind programmed by use of imagination. So let's go back a little bit, because I do have to go through one more thing about what do you do with this subconscious programming. Like, we know we have to get into theta, yes, but there are a couple ways that the subconscious mind is programmed with imagination. And so there are three particular ways, or two ways really. Subconscious mind is programmed either by repetition. So remember I told you about the piano player who can play a piece of music? Well, they have to do that because they play it over and over and over and over again, and then it seeps down into the subconscious mind. So that's one way to do it, repetition. The second way is an emotional trigger. Now, this is really important, because you got to think about it like this. An emotional trigger, something can happen one time, but if it's highly emotional enough, you will never forget it the rest of your life. Actually, you can think about a time where something happened, it might have been 20 years ago, but you can think about it, and when you think about it right now, your body, you might start sweating, you might start breathing hard, your body responds as if it's happening right now. So the two ways are through repetition and emotional triggers. So why does visualization have something to do with this? Well, if I can get you to use your emotions in a visualization, okay? So I want you to get your emotions involved and see something like when I told you to buy that first purchase, that huge purchase. I want it to be so emotional that in your visualization, in your mind, it actually feels real. See, there's been studies that have been shown that the subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imaginary. That's how wonderful your subconscious mind is. So there was a study of a basketball team that shot free throws. They had 10 players shoot free throws. They had 10 players imagine themselves shooting free throws. The level of increase in free throws over the course of the season was almost equal, from the players that just imagined it and the players that actually did it, because the subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imaginary. So if you can get something emotionally triggering, like buying something amazing, you might be buying your mom a house or whatever it might be, get your emotions involved in it. And if you do that with repetition, guess what? Your subconscious mind will become programmed, and that's how you start programming yourself to create your money tree. And that's the first step of making your money tree. We'll go to step 2 later. Peace.